Tonight, band students perform on Troy's campus.
Plus, some Troy residents had some fun on their lunch break. Stay tuned because TrojanVision Nightly News starts now.
From the high-definition digital production center on the Troy campus, with news from Troy University locations around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Nightly News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Nightly News for June 21st, 2012. I'm Judson Garner.
And I'm Deatra Montgomery. Thank you for joining us this evening. Young musicians have been on campus all this week to learn new skills from the Sound of the South, and today they had a chance to show off what they learned. Caitlin Crow has the story.
Thursday afternoon, family and friends came to Sartain Hall to see students from across the South perform what they've learned during their time at Troy University's band camp this week.
Basically, it's a summer camp that they can register for at any level from 8th grade all the way up to senior. And so we take any student that wants to come to be with us here at Troy University. It's been a marvelous week. I think that they will take with them a lot of inspiration for their musical techniques. I think that they will take with them a love for different cultures of music, bonding within each other. It's just been a great experience.
Throughout the 5-day camp, various sections of the band were taught pieces to take back to their respective bands to perform during the upcoming school year.
There are quite a few different camps. There's a concert band camp, which is right behind me, and there's a drum major camp, there's a color guard camp, major and dancer, and percussion camp, and depending on what each student does, they go to their respective camps. Today is the concert or performance, or whatever you want to call it, that sums up all the work that the children have done this week, and all the work that the students have put in, and all the things that they've learned from the professors and the college students and everything that they've learned and put into effect today.
Prior to camp, some students had very little experience with their instrument, but at the performance, various instruments were presented.
Since we have 8th grade, we have half of the band is 8th and 9th graders, so they really have only studied a couple of 3 years. And then we have the other half is junior and seniors, and we'd really like those kids to want to be a part of the Sound of the South. We've got a piccolo player, flute, clarinet, saxes, oboe, bassoon, the brasses, trumpet, trombones. We've got tubas. I mean, every aspect of the concert and the symphonic band is covered.
Caitlin Crow, Troy TrojanVision News.
The Sound of the South will report to campus for the fall season in early August.
The city of Troy offered residents a chance to have a little fun on their lunch hour today with some music and a little fellowship on the square.
Hope everybody's having a good time.
Troy Mayor Jimmy Lunsford greeted the community on the square in downtown Troy for the very last brown bag lunch of the season Thursday afternoon.
It gives me tremendous pleasure, obviously, to come out and speak to my constituents, the people, the old and young alike, that have been here, been with me for my 30 years.
The Brown Bag Lunch is a spring early summer activity put on by the City of Troy's Public Relations and Tourism Department, and the city feels that having these sort of events not only brings the community together, but also helps promote local businesses.
We have our brown bags downtown on the square each year, so we can get our citizens to come down to our downtown area. Our downtown area is up, running, and very vibrant.
I think just giving people reasons to come downtown promotes business. You can't buy something if you're not there.
Mayoral candidate Jason Reeves says that when he comes to the brown bag lunches, sometimes he feels like he's at a reunion.
Got to catch up with some old friends a few minutes ago that I haven't seen in a while, and actually got to see the son of my youth minister when I was 14, 15 years old, and haven't seen him in a long time. And so those types of things, just reconnection and entertainment is fantastic.
Look here up and look here down, I know.
The city has high expectations for the development of the square, and the mayor hopes that events like the Brown Bag Lunch will help the downtown area grow.
It's just absolutely gorgeous down here, and I hope your listeners out there, if they don't come downtown on a regular basis, just drive down, get out, walk around on the square, sit in the benches and talk and have a great time.
The Brown Bag Lunches ended today because organizers feel that many people's summer plans would conflict with the event, but it will start again in the spring.
And now taking a look at news from around the state. In Montgomery, the Alabama Prisoner Commissioner, Kim Thomas, says he has requested technical assistance from the National Institution of Correction as his staff investigates allegation of sexual abuse of female prisoners. Thomas also says he's looking into reports of increased intimate-on-intimate violence in the state prisons.
And in Birmingham, the mother of Alabama teen Natalie Holloway is suing the National Enquirer, saying the tabloid published untrue stories for years to profit from her daughter's 2005 disappearance in Aruba. Enquirer publisher American Media Inc. did not immediately return messages for comment on the lawsuit filed by Beth Holloway.
And also in Montgomery, authorities have set a date for the resentencing of former Alabama Governor Don Singelman. Singelman is scheduled to appear in federal court for the resentencing on August 3rd. He is out of prison on appeal and bond after his 2006 robbery conviction.
Still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News, find out what Trojan team is still in action this summer and preparing for a weekend tournament. Danielle Percival will be in next with sports.
But first, the Sandusky trial prepares for the closing arguments. We'll have that story and more after the break.
Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. It's now up to the jurors to decide what happens to Jerry Sandusky. We'll have the latest on the closing arguments they heard coming up.
In 1887, it was written that we want to educate the mind to think, the heart to feel, the body to act. And it's no different today than it was 125 years ago. Some things never change. The mission of this university is to prepare leaders who are going to go into the communities and make a difference. And I think it's within that culture of caring that excellence is found.
Troy University, in class, online, within reach. Troy.edu.
Check out this chef, right?
So gay. Please don't say that. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
From the high-definition digital production studios of Troy University, you're watching the award-winning TrojanVision Nightly News.
And now for a look at what's happening across the nation and around the world, we'll go to Deatra Montgomery at the Global News Desk. Deatra?
Thanks, Judson. Closing arguments are underway in the child sex abuse trial of former Penn State assistant coach Jerry Sandusky. Manuel Gallegos reports from the courthouse in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, where the judge instructed the jury this morning.
Come on, Jerry, how you doing?
Jerry Sandusky declined to answer reporters' questions as he walked into court this morning with his wife. The jury could begin deliberating this afternoon after both sides present their closing arguments. Defense attorney Joe Amendola addressed the jurors first, saying he told Sandusky he used stupid judgment and that Sandusky insisted, "I didn't do this. I'm innocent. I want to fight this." Speaking directly to jurors, Amendola said the system decided Mr. Sandusky was guilty and the system set out to convict him. Jerry Sandusky took these kids everywhere, Amendola said. Is that how a pedophile acts? He parades these kids around, took them to practices, took them to football games, took them on trips. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. The defense also told jurors that Mike McQuarrie, the only eyewitness to testify he saw Sandusky sexually abusing a boy in the shower, was mistaken. Amendola told jurors he didn't do one thing to stop what he said he saw. He assumed something was going on. Campus police were 30 seconds away, but he never called 911. Jurors began their day listening to instructions from the judge about the meaning of reasonable doubt. He told them not to find Sandusky guilty on mere suspicion or doubt, that they have to be absolutely sure. He also addressed the question of when conduct becomes criminal, saying it's not a crime for a man to take a shower with a boy, or to wash his hair, or to help him crack his back. You may believe he exercised poor judgment, but poor judgment is not criminality. Manuel Gallegos, CBS News, Bellefonte, Pennsylvania.
The showdown continues between the U.S. Attorney General and House Republicans. Eric Holder commented this morning on the vote that went against him in Congress and how he might resolve the conflict. Tara Mergener has the latest from Washington.
Attorney General Eric Holder is holding out hope negotiations can still resolve the showdown with Congress.
I think the possibility still exists that it can happen in that way.
A Republican-led House committee voted on Wednesday to hold him in contempt.
The ayes have it.
For refusing to turn over more documents in an investigation into a failed gun smuggling sting. The program was called Fast and Furious and allowed thousands of guns to cross the border into Mexico. Holder's office has already turned over thousands of documents, and he says he offered to compromise with the Republicans on releasing more.
We put before the committee a proposal that would have allowed for a resolution of that matter consistent with the way in which these have been resolved in the past through negotiation.
But here on Capitol Hill, Republicans accuse the administration of a cover-up. They want the full House to vote next week on whether to hold the Attorney General in contempt. The White House tried to shield the Fast and Furious investigation, claiming executive privilege. But California Republican Darrell Issa says that won't fly.
Even if there is some executive privilege, it couldn't possibly apply to all the documents being withheld.
Issa's aides say that a few hundred pages of key documents could be enough to satisfy them, at which point they may be willing to negotiate an end to the impasse and head off a constitutional showdown. Tara Mergener for CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Ecuador's government says it expects to decide whether to grant political asylum to Julian Assange. The WikiLeaks founder has taken refuge inside the country's embassy in London. Monica Villamizar reports from British Capital.
Julian Assange spent a second night inside Ecuador's embassy in London. The Ecuadorian government says it will soon decide where he goes next. The WikiLeaks founder wants to go to the South American country to avoid being sent to Sweden on allegations of sex crimes. Ecuador's president said his country is studying the asylum request to determine if Assange's life is in danger. Assange says the sexual assault allegations are political payback. Supporters say he fears charges in the U.S. for leaking hundreds of thousands of secret government documents on his WikiLeaks website.
He believes that if he's sent to Sweden, he'll then be sent on to America. If he gets sent to America, then he'll end up with a life prison sentence, or perhaps even the death penalty.
This embassy in central London contains only offices. It is not a residence set up for overnight stays. But sources tell CBS News that Assange has a bed and a place to shower, so he could stay here for a few days. Assange broke his bail conditions to avoid extradition to Sweden.
Thank you, President Correa.
The Australian whistleblower has a friendly relationship with Ecuador's leader. President Correa was a recent guest on his talk show and supported Assange when the WikiLeaks scandal broke 2 years ago. Monica Villamizar, CBS News, London.
And that wraps things up from the Global News Desk. Now back to you, Jetson.
Thanks, Giatra. And now Danielle Percival joins us for a look at sports. So Danielle, in Troy, in the summertime, it's sort of a downtime. A lot of clubs and organizations go on hiatus throughout the summer, but one club sport is still in action.
Well, that's right, Judson. Most of the Troy sports are out of season right now. Now, there's still practices and getting ready and getting prepared, but let's get into that one sport that's still going on. While a majority of Trojan athletes are enjoying their summer in the sun, Troy rugby members continue working and gathering experience through off-season tournaments, preparing for fall exhibitions.
1, 2, 3, Troy Rugby!
The first day of summer was a reunion for the Trojan Rugby Club. At the Troy Sports Complex, a few members met to sharpen their skills, heading into a summer showdown in the Magic City.
We're out here holding a practice to get ourselves ready for the Sevens tournament in Birmingham this weekend. We usually play 15s for the school, but during the summer we play 7s to help grow our name and get as many people involved as possible and get our name out there to more clubs so we can have more exhibitions for the fall.
Entering their third season, Troy Rugby continues to shift conferences and face tougher competition, working toward their first championship.
We've worked hard and we've gotten better every year. We went from a 0-6 season, our first season, and to a 2-2 season. And now we're going into the Deep South Rugby Conference, and there's a lot more teams, a lot more games, and we want to represent the school the best of our abilities.
For those who play, rugby strives to maintain a gentleman's image off the field while delivering a hard-hitting experience for the fans.
When we're wearing the Trojan jerseys, it's our job to represent the university to the best of our abilities, both on and off the field. Off the field, we want to be respectable men of genuine character that people can look up to and want to seek advice from. On the field, we want to be mean, hard-hitting, and never lose.
Clay welcomes all interested in joining the rugby family, and although the cost is high both physically and mentally, the reward will stick with you for life.
You can see what it's like to really get in there and hit someone with all your strength and not wear any pads. It's a different experience. Some say it's more violent than football. We just think it makes us men.
The team will be competing this weekend in the Alabama State Games with 8 other teams from across the state. Their first game will be at 10 o'clock Saturday morning in Birmingham.